to another episode of The Demon's Den, your stop for horror history, stories, and more. I'm your host Hex, and in this episode we're diving deep to the bottom of Camp Crystal Lake to explore the legendary slasher, Jason Voorhees. If you're like me, you may be wondering how in the hell this dude is able to come back after drowning as a child, how he's able to come back after every movie even though his injuries are fatal, and honestly, where he went. While some say he did receive an ending, it remains unclear due to various reasons. So, grab your bug juice and your sunscreen, and let's get into it. If you don't know the origin already, Jason was bullied brutally as a child due to his facial deformities, his mental disabilities, and his hydrocephalus, or buildup of fluids in the brain. While he was at camp, he was supposed to be intently watched by the camp counselors, but they decided to smoke and, get it on instead. This led to the other campers bullying and then chasing Jason into the lake where he drowned because he couldn't swim. When Jason's mother found out that the counselors were not doing what they were supposed to do, and her son was now a casualty of that, she went on to murder every counselor at that camp, only to have her head lobbed off at the end of the movie. In Friday the 13th Part 2, we observe another string of camp killings perpetrated by a very strong person wearing a hood for a mask, who turns out to be Jason. Not only did he live, but he knows everything that happened to his mom. How though? Well, when he was last seen drowning and then never seen again, we assumed he was gone. There's theories that say he was brought back by the power of his mom's love, and that's true in a sense, but it's muddy. In reality, he survived and decided to live in the woods away from those who wanted to hurt him. Turns out he witnessed what happened to his mom and wanted revenge. This is where we see Jason has a shrine to his deceased mother, complete with her severed head in the center. The movie ends with a brutal injury that Jason survives from. This movie is also where we see Jason's strength and durability. In the second movie, he gets this cut with a machete that's just sliced between his shoulder and his neck. Like, it would be the end for literally anybody. We see the same thing happen in Part 3. Movie ends with a brutal injury but not death. Just proves that Jason is superhuman when it comes to taking damage. It's not until the final chapter where we finally see Jason die by the hands of Tommy Wallace. He does it by slamming the machete multiple times into Jason's face. Now, this seems like the end for our sad friend, but get this. A bolt of lightning revives the guy after being dead for years. Now here's where we're gonna slam the brakes for a sec, because this is where the stuff gets all muddied. We agree that you can't just zap a stiff back to life after being in the ground for years. Even Dr. Frankenstein had to stitch his monster back together with freshly deceased bodies. Not only did Jason rise out of the ground, but he was stronger than ever, and it looked like only his clothes got messed up. Keep in mind, when you see him in the ground before he's resurrected by the lightning, he looks decayed and he's covered in maggots and all these creepy crawlies. Now, this resurrection is somewhat explained in Jason Goes to Hell, where in this movie we find out that Jason's, he's a body-hopping demon worm. Yeah, apparently when Jason dies, or when he's about to die, this little Jason wormy worm comes out and like jumps down someone's throat, or the demon makes you eat Jason's heart, and then you become Jason. So if that were the case, then this resurrection by lightning would make no sense. If he was a worm this whole time, then he would have just body jumped and continued his rampage. Now, we're gonna dive a little deeper because this stuff gets awesome with this next level, but it also gets pretty nuts too. Now, the director for Jason Goes to Hell, Adam Marcus, confirmed that the Friday the 13th universe and the Evil Dead universe are one and the same. New Line Cinema doesn't own the rights to Evil Dead, but Marcus just pushed it there anyway. Through this confirmation, we find that Jason is in fact a Deadite that was resurrected by the power of the Necronomicon through his mother doing so. That's where the theory of his mother's love of bringing him back to life comes in, and it was even confirmed in the official comic book sequel to the movie Freddy vs. Jason. Now you see, this makes sense. In The Evil Dead, a Deadite is more akin to that of a Revenant, which is a deceased person that is returned to the mortal plane as a vengeful spirit, usually possessing the body that it used to inhabit. Since Jason was resurrected by the Necronomicon, this would make him a Deadite, and it would explain how he's able to live through everything. But the confirmation of this detail does make some of the past movies make zero sense. If he was really an indestructible force fueled by the power of this evil book, then him dying is ludicrous. This even makes Jason Goes to Hell look dumb. Now, that's not to say a Deadite can't die. A Deadite can indeed die. We've seen Ash blown to pieces numerous times. But being that Jason is abnormally strong and durable, he's like an end-level boss Deadite. So this Deadite Jason makes the final chapter, Jason Lives, Jason Goes to Hell, and even Jason X more like fan stories than actual canon. They had a chance to correct everything in the 2009 reboot, but they ended up taking a huge dump instead. Now with this fact, the movie timeline should be Friday the 13th parts 1 through 3, The New Blood, Jason Takes Manhattan, and Freddy vs. Jason. This makes for the perfect segue into what was supposed to be the sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, which was a Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, which would have explained all of this. So, just like our friend in Haddonfield, Mr. Michael Myers, it would seem that Jason has also had a few timelines, but sadly, I don't think we're going to see any of our undead friend anytime soon. There's this other theory that Jason did come back from hell in this new form, but that's not the case. This theory came from the Friday the 13th game, in which there's a secret skin that you got through, I think it was only buying the game through Kickstarter. Yeah, he's dressed in this all black, just outfit with hellfire coming out of every opening, and he has like this, like, hell pitchfork. The dude looks badass, but that's it. It's just a cool costume. It's, I think it's called the Savini skin, because the original guy who, played Jason is Tom Savini. And, yeah, that's it. It's just a costume. A great looking costume, but, yeah, sadly, that's all the sequel we got right there. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Demon's Den. Join us next time for more spookums. Until next time, be safe, lock your doors, and remember, if a demonic serial killer is famous for ending lives at your campsite across multiple years, maybe don't open up a cap there.